Well, on behalf of the Klein ISD, I want to congratulate Dr. Susan Borg for receiving this very nice honor. She is just a terrific individual, has done great things for this school district in every position that she's ever had.
I think when anybody first meets Dr. Borg, they are struck by her compassion, her intelligence, and her commitment. And those three things carry us through tremendously.
She doesn't make decisions in isolation. She makes them with a team. And each member on the team is a contributor and a valued contributor. And each thought and each person's ideas are carefully considered.
She is someone who leads not only by example, but in such a way that you grow professionally. She is a person who builds the capacity in the people around her. So one of the things I most admire about her is the way she allows her staff to grow while doing their job.
Regardless of the pressure, regardless of the stress, regardless of the situation, she is always cool and she's articulate, she's understanding, she is a person who can see different aspects to situations and handles them with tremendous grace. I would call it grace under fire.
We would not be the recognized school district that we are today were it not for Dr. Borg's leadership.
And we truly value what she brings to our school district each and every day.
When I began in school, I'd always loved going to school, and I enjoyed the extracurricular activities. I mean, it was just great. And I knew I wanted to be with people because I'm a people person. So I began exploring what I was really interested in, and I decided to be a science teacher. So I taught biology and chemistry. However, I know people just love biology and chemistry, don't they? Especially chemistry, because it involves math. So, and I really liked teaching in the classroom, but I always took on other responsibilities, became a team leader, decided to go back to school, get my degree, and every administrative job I was in, I always kind of, wanted to be involved in the instructional issues. You have your realm of things that you can do, but it always seemed to come down to those instructional issues that I ended up being pretty good at, and could just see the things that needed to be done. In partnership with my general interest, I think led to this job, and then organizing and seeing what needs to happen for the future of instruction is what I'm doing right now. Whether it's technology, whether it's the end of course exams, whether it's how that's going to affect elementary, intermediate, high school, and then kids going to college. That's the whole realm. So it started long ago, I guess, but it's really been a passion. I received my master's degree from Sam Houston State University, and at that time I was considering whether I would become an administrator or not. I switched to that program and I had some fantastic professors. Dr. Genevieve Brown was very influential in the way that I viewed how instruction needs to happen in the classroom. I would also say that the leadership shown by several professors in the doctoral program, I believe they also teach or have taught in the master's program too, show me Dr. Irby, Dr. Combs, Dr. Edmondson, all worked with us so that we would be ready to work with school administrators and teachers in the situations that they're dealing with right now. And so I always appreciate their personal touch with students, and they want to make sure that you are successful. And of course, then they have many successful students. And so that's what I appreciate about Sam Houston. And also my daughter is going to school there. And my husband is in the doctoral program. So we all feel very close to the professors and the school at Sam Houston.
She is a dynamic professional, she is a caring professional, and we all benefit by modeling the leadership style that Dr. Borg puts forth for all of us every day.
She greatly deserves this award. She is truly the consummate educator, and children are always first with her.
Congratulations, Susan, on winning. I can think of no one who is more deserving of this honor. Your leadership, your passion for students and for Klein ISD is unparalleled.
She's likable, she's personable, she's open, she's honest, and people just naturally gravitate to a person like her. So, all in all, Klein is very lucky to have Dr. Susan Borg.
Well, I truly appreciate and am blessed to be working in Klein ISD. And Dr. Kane is a fabulous supervisor. And he nominated me, and I am so grateful for Sam Houston and for his leadership and to win this award.
I nominated Cheryl Conley because she is one of the most amazing educators I have ever met. She is passionate, enthusiastic about her career, and she loves to inspire others for the love of learning. And she makes learning fun and exciting, but it's really her own enthusiasm and passion for education that motivates and inspires her students and her colleagues to rise above and achieve.
I had great teachers growing up, and I always knew that I loved math and science. And I began my career at Sam Houston State University, and I was taking my science courses, and I went home as a sophomore to back to Bay City, where I grew up in Bay City, Texas, and I wanted to find a job, and I began a substitute position for about the last 2 weeks of school. And after the first week, I knew I was in love with teaching. I couldn't wait to go in every day and learn more about my students and connect with them. And every day was different, and every day was magic. And I couldn't wait. And when I went back to school, changed my major, and the rest is history.
She was I call them kid connectors from the get-go. Very kind, compassionate, but not a pushover by any stretch. The kids absolutely loved her. They would have done anything in the world for her because she was. They knew. Kids in their heart of hearts are always the best judge of people, and Cheryl exuded that. They loved Miss Denham. That was her maiden name, and certainly it was evident when you walked into her classroom.
Being in fourth grade with Miss Conley really reminded me a lot about how to be creative and fun and spunky. It was always fun, but she did always want us to work harder, but she wanted us to work harder so we could have more fun.
She has a fun, outgoing personality. Other teachers have a serious, but she has a fun personality. Her best subject she taught was science, and that was something I remember, and that made me succeed throughout my middle school years and my exam.
I think motivation is honestly 95% of education. If you can get a kid encouraged and inspired to read more and learn more and ask those questions, then you've done your job as a teacher. And what I try to do is let my students take risks. I try and have a safe environment where they know everybody makes mistakes. And we learn from those mistakes, and that's what makes us human, and that's what makes us learn. I try and encourage my students to ask me any question that they have, because questions are the key to learning. I hope I impact my own students in my classroom by touching the whole child. I hope they learn a lot about me, a lot about the courses that I teach, but I hope they learn even more about themselves and learn to dream and to be inspired and to just love learning.
Got to know Mrs. Conley as she was nominated as her elementary school's 2011 Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Conley was very surprised to be named the State of Florida Teacher of the Year, and then to be named a national finalist was icing on the cake. It was a wonderful experience for her. She got to travel to Washington, D.C. D.C., and she got to go to the vice president's home for a ball and a gala, recognizing all National Teachers of the Year, and then the event culminated with a visit into the Oval Office with the president himself, where she got to have a conversation with him and then was recognized in a ceremony in the president's Rose Garden.
Cheryl is now what we call teacher mentor coach. And what she does is she assists veteran teachers, beginning teachers, and struggling teachers with acclimating to their classroom, acclimating to the district, acclimating to the curriculum that they have to teach. She's a liaison between the administrator and the teacher, and she helps them to understand what their requirements are and what's expected of them. Cheryl has really added that pop because her attitude is so bubbly. She's always so friendly, so engaging, and so inviting. And to have that in professional development is a huge plus.
The program at Sam Houston State University definitely helped me as a beginning teacher. I remember going through all of my methods classes and working through my internship and all of the support that I got from the professors. It's like a family at Sam Houston State. And I remember that everyone would come in and get back together and we would encourage each other and design lessons together. And that definitely helped me as a teacher. It helped me learn to communicate and to collaborate with my coworkers. And at Sam Houston, I was allowed to be a free thinker, and I got to be a risk taker, and they encouraged me to use creative lessons in reaching students of all abilities. I remember a wonderful science methods teacher, but I also remember Dr. Terry Lassane, and she taught us elementary literature, and I loved going to her class and reading all of the different books. She got me hooked on reading. I'm not a huge reader, but I found that I love children's literature, and we always did our projects, which made us connect deeper with the books, and I tried to implement what she taught us in her class in my class when I became a teacher. Well, I'd like to thank my parents for being my first and forever teachers, and I'd like to thank all of my teachers growing up, thanks to the teachers and professors at Sam Houston State University, and to my colleagues that I had in Texas and in Cypress Fairbanks ISD. They shaped the teacher that I am today. And to my wonderful colleagues that have embraced me here in Florida in the Indian River County School District, I am forever grateful for all that they have done and taught me, and I couldn't work with a better team of teachers. So thank you so much to everyone.
Congratulations, Mom. I love you.
I think he's an extraordinary teacher. He is so concerned about his students and being an excellent teacher, and he really devotes a lot of time to it, and he has so much patience.
He teaches history, not boring listing off dates and rattling off names. He teaches it like a story. He'll tell it and he'll go through it, and he'll be more involved with the students than it would be if someone just sat up and lectured.
He is definitely a diligent teacher. He's that comes to work early, he leaves very late, and whatever you ask him to do to help the kids, he's willing to do that.
Well, at first it was kind of like disbelief. I thought, well, they sure they have the right person. But I don't know, it was kind of like it was a great honor. For the many years I've been teaching, and it is a hard job. Out of all the hard jobs I've done, it is a hard job. It is a challenging job, but that in itself also brings great rewards. When I was in school, I was probably what you could have considered when I was in the 8th grade a at-risk student. I think that some of my teachers from when I was in junior high, if I could go back to them and if they find out that I am an award-winning teacher, now they would be just probably really surprised. This is a low socioeconomic area, and I had to understand that you just were not going to have to be able to be 100% successful with every student, because I would actually get emotional about it, as you can tell, that if I couldn't reach every one of them, and I had to convince myself that, You won't last if you like this. You're going to have to do the best you can, work hard at it, and for every student you help, you made a difference in their life. And students that I thought that I just didn't reach that much will come up to me and they would just tell me, Mr. Watson, said, you were my favorite history teacher. You made things to where we could understand it. And I really loved your class and all that. And I'm thinking, wow, I didn't realize I had that kind of effect on that student.
He belongs to a Civil War reenactment group, and they go not only here in Crockett, they have done some reenactments at our Pioneer Days, but he also goes around the state of Texas and around the United States. And being a part of that reenactment, he has all of the trappings that one would have in the Civil War era. And in being able to touch and feel the things that were of that era, Mr. Watson just brings it all to life.
I was in the ranching business. It was the sesquicentennial. It was 1976, actually, and we were watching all the different things that were on TV that were going on around the country in that celebration of our nation's birth. And they had a reenactment of the Battle of Gettysburg going on at Gettysburg, and I just saw that and it fell out of my chair. I went and bought the clothing. I even bought a 1850 model Enfield rifle, a military rifle that I utilized, and then went and joined a group. And from that, our group would go to doing living history events at different places. I've been involved with doing living history presentations for some of the national parks. I found that I just really got excited about the fact of working with these young kids that were coming to these living history days. Over the years, it was always in the back of my mind that this is really what I should be doing. I want to become a teacher. I want to be able to teach and do what I'd always been wanting to do all my life. I went to Sam Houston, partly because both my parents had gone to Sam Houston in the 1940s. Both of my parents became teachers. My dad eventually, he was an ag teacher. My mother, who was still living, was a lifelong elementary school teacher. And I always thought, well, Sam Houston in Texas is probably one of the best places to go to get a degree to teach school, since I think Sam Houston was the very first teacher's education college in Texas. My experience there was great. I wouldn't have given that up for anything. I had, the professors were wonderful. I can remember certain professors in history. My favorite history professor was Dr. Greg Cantrell. In the education department, Dr. Patricia Williams, I remember her. Dr. Sullivan, I really enjoyed him.
Mr. Watson lives the history that he talks about, and he has a wonderful knowledge base, and in doing that, he tries to bring it to life in his classroom, and his students are very interested in what he has to say, and therefore he has no discipline problems. He also has a good following with the parents because he does reenactments, and he'll take groups to those stations and let them see history come to life. And Mr. Watson has done an outstanding job of doing that for our students.
He'll go in his class and he'll put up a sign-up list and see who wants to do the reenactments, and then we'll get into the period costumes and we'll go to the reenactments. We'll live life as though they did during the Civil War.
But it's the little things like sleeping on the ground. The boys do that. The girls, we have cots for them. And cooking and really understanding that, when you roll out of bed, breakfast isn't just ready. You've got to build a fire and you've got to cook the food. And then afterwards, you've got to heat the water so you can wash the dishes. We don't use paper plates. We don't throw them away. We're very authentic. And the students really get a sense of 19th century living.
Then when they got back to school, they would have to create a program, a PowerPoint presentation, using photographs, video that we took at the events, and they would have to present that then to the classes, to their classmates, so that they would also benefit from it too.
school motto at this campus is teach the mind and touch the heart. And when I hired Miss Fagan several years ago, I had no idea how much she would emulate that vision for our campus.
There's so many wonderful things to say about Darla. It's hard to kind of encompass everything that she really is for the kids. She's such a child advocate.
The kids just adore her and love her, as does the staff and parents, everybody that encounters her. It doesn't take long to get to realize what a good heart she has.
And they see her as someone that they can go to, someone that they can confide in, someone that's not going to judge, is just going to have that open ears and open heart and just totally receive them. And see a child that may come in that's just downright flustered, open up, express themselves, and then maybe receive a little bit of advice and encouragement. When they receive it from her, it's some sort of gospel on high, and they eat it up and they go on, and most of the time whatever that issue was, it's now resolved. It just works. It has this kind of ebb and flow, and there's this overcoming pause and just taking the child in, and she has the gift of doing that.
Miss Fagan knows every student in this building. I would venture to say she knows every student in this building by name. I can go to Miss Fagan and ask her, tell me about this particular child. She knows who they are. She knows all their grades, all their teachers. She knows their siblings. She knows their parents.
And she gets that personal element that really, I feel, puts parents at ease to go ahead and share their situations and be problem solvers together.
I think just even as a young kid, I wanted to be a teacher. I loved hanging out with friends and like having a little class and doing things. I'd get my little brothers, friends around, and we'd have class, and I just thought I always wanted to be a teacher. And then even in high school, I was in the Future Teachers organization there, and just always wanted to be a teacher. In education, we don't have the tons of money coming in and those kind of things, but the rewards that we receive are so much bigger. That service is so big. Educators are just the best people in the world.
We had a student who, actually it was two students that was having a hard time making it to school. They lived about almost 2 miles from school, but not quite, so they were out of the bus area, and Miss Fagan knew that they had a need. Mom was walking them to school each morning, but she had a little one she was also carrying with her, and Miss Fagan bought those kids bikes, and they were able to be here at school every day on time because of her support.
I want each child to know how important they are here, not just at Rasco and not just here in Lake Jackson, but on the earth, and that they make a difference for being here.
Miss Fagan, she's a very kind, very loving person. I believe that she's an individual that takes her job to the next level for the students' sake and for the family's sake.
I was talking to Miss Fagan. At first I was shy because I didn't really know her that much, and then after a while I got used to it, and I could really express my emotions with her and what I really was feeling.
Certain people do their jobs, but Miss Fagan is one that goes above and beyond. And not just for Keeley, not just for mother, daughter Kayla, but for the whole student body. She gives a loving heart, and she understands the children. And for that, we feel truly blessed that she was part of Keeley and Kayla's life, and mine as well.
First day of school. My dad had walked me in, and she said, how are you? And I was like, pretty good. Well, then after my dad had passed away, I had came here, and she was telling me everything will be okay, and just keep on believing that better things will come to life. And it did. My life is awesome now. I have a lot of friends. I have family still. I have everything that I want. But I'm pretty sure my dad's looking down at me and happy right now.
I'd like to congratulate Miss Fagan. She certainly is deserving of this award. There's no one that is more deserving of this award than Mrs. Fagan.
Sam Houston is always dear, dear to my heart. I loved it. It was just such a wonderful place. It's such a wonderful, first of all, just wonderful school. And you get such an education. And being a teacher, it was the best place you could go to be a teacher, I feel like, because they have the best college of education that there is, as far as I'm concerned. And what you learn there, it makes you an absolutely wonderful teacher. You're able to go out into the world and change lives for the kids, This is my 32nd year in education, and I absolutely love it.
I'd like to congratulate Ms. Fagan for her Distinguished Award.
Thank you, Ms. Fagan.
I adopted my son from Russia, and I have JW. He's a 7th grader now. One of the things he did last year, he wrote to me a note, and he said it was he made it BDEAS, and I'm like, Bidaeus? He's going, yeah, Bidaeus. And I'm like, what is Bidaeus? He goes, best day ever at school. For me, it is like a Bidaeus day every day. It's just like the best day ever at school. I want to thank Sam Houston for this award. I sometimes have a little problem because I want to be humble with everything I do, but I also am so proud and I'm very touched that I've been chosen for this. So special for me. It's very exciting and special, especially coming from Sam Houston. But I also want to thank my principal, Robin Pelton. She is, after 32 years, I will tell you, the best principal I have ever worked for. And I've worked for wonderful, wonderful people, and I'm not trying to put anybody down, but I just want to say she's just the best, and I thank her for nominating me. But I also thank my colleagues who have written such touching, wonderful things about their interactions with me, and I'm just really blessed, and I thank you very much.
Dr. Simmons, you see, believes in all children. She believes that it doesn't matter where you came from, how much money you made, what your parents made or you have, or what your ethnicity is. She believes in you. And she believes that if you hire a good teacher, have a quality teacher in every classroom, and that you have high expectations, that your students will rise up to that level of high expectation. And that's what happened at FUR.
She goes to the issues of the kids, not just to the curriculum that they have to learn. She understands that some of our students have children at home, some of our kids are homeless, some of our kids have parents who are ill, terminally ill. Some of our kids are battling a variety of situations that causes them to miss school, to not learn in a regular curriculum. And so Dr. Simmons supports me in what I do, and she also addresses those students' needs.
She actually helped me to get through the year because last summer, I found out that my mom went back to remission. She was in remission, but she came out of it. She has leukemia. So first period, I'm working online classes. Second period, I do the same. And third period, I also do the same. And while that time, I'm actually helping my mom get ready to go to take her chemotherapy at the hospital. And my mom just went back into remission, and we're helping her fight. And thanks to Dr. Simmons.
When I first came to FUR, it was hard. I was going through so many problems with my mother, with my father, not having nowhere to live. It was hard. And I really wanted to graduate and get out of school. And in 2008, I was getting so much trouble here at FUR. I mean, I was just like a terrible child. And one day I decided that it needed to stop. And Dr. Simmons pulled me to the side and said that she's gonna help me. And from that day forward, she has been helping me, with school, with problems in the home. She has been there. When I was down and out, she has been there.
The College Board, of course, is a large organization that's based in New York City, and they give an award every year for school districts or schools that excel, particularly schools that serve high concentrations of poor, disadvantaged, non-white students. And this past year they gave out 3 of those awards, and one of those awards went to Furr High School. And there's no question in my mind it went to Furr High School because of Dr. Bertie Simmons.
Yo siento que ella es una persona muy inteligente y muy afectiva, porque mira los ojos a la gente, siempre que está hablando con cada persona viene y te mira los ojos, no solamente dice esto se hace y así, no, ella te mira los ojos y realmente le importa lo que tú estás diciendo y luego se pone en acción. Si yo estoy preguntando sobre algo, luego trae a todos los maestros que se refieren a lo que yo quiero saber y lo resuelve en el momento.
I came in one day and I met her outside and she said, Elam, come ride with me. We ended up off of Federal Road in a neighborhood not so good, sitting in a car with a student in the back of our car to receive some stuff he had stolen from the school. We got the merchandise back and I heard her and she was trying to ask him why did he take? Why was he stealing? What was the problem? And he told her about being hungry, about having no food at home and trying to feed his family. She held nothing against that child. That child is still on this campus today getting his diploma.
When I came out of retirement, I had just lost my granddaughter. She was 16 years old and she was in a skiing accident. 2 times they called me and I said, I really don't want to do that. I had been superintendent over this side of town at one time. And then I thought about Ashley, and she constantly talked to me about, Nana, I want to grow up and make the world better for all people. And so I thought about Ashley, and I thought, well, maybe I could go to that school because I knew it was a tough school. And maybe I could leave a legacy for her. So I came here for that reason. And the first day I was here, one gang member threw another one through that plate glass window out front. And I'm standing there thinking, I must be some kind of fool to come to this school at my age. I knew that the faculty didn't want me here because I had been their superintendent. Part of them were arrogant, the other part didn't believe these kids could learn. I started trying to build rapport with the teachers, and that just didn't work. They treated me as if I had the plague. I started working out so that I'd be strong enough to walk around this school, and because I even chased the kids, because at that time they were trying to skip, and I would chase them, and the only ones I ever caught were the really obese ones. So I started working out. One day I was walking down the hallway, and I heard this teacher say, "There goes that hard-ass Simmons." And so I went home and I called my daughter and I said, I think they're noticing that I'm firming up because I heard this teacher. And she said, Mother, that's not what it means. I really immediately established rapport with the kids. I went into classrooms and they would talk to me and they were cordial to me. And the teachers were really very mean. The gang members started liking me a lot, and so they would stay. I would leave here after dark, and so they would walk me to my car. And so one night I was walking in my car and they said, Miss, the teachers are trying to pay us to key your car. And so I thanked them for not doing it, but that just told me more about how the teachers were feeling. One day I came from a meeting and there was nothing but fights on the campus most of the time anyway. So the assistant principals told me they were sending 32 gang members to CEP, which is an alternative school for disciplinary action. So I said, no, we're not going to do this time because we'd done it over and over and over and it didn't work. So I called the gang members together and started talking to them. This was right after 9/11. And I asked them what it would take to bring peace into their lives and into the school. Then I was just startled when they said that they thought that 9/11 didn't really happen, that was Bush, and they thought that he was mainly for rich people and not for them, and they were all poor, and that it didn't happen, and he had made this film, and he was trying to fool all the poor people. So I said, what if I took you to Ground Zero? Now, I have to tell you, I had no money, and I didn't have any way of taking them to Ground Zero. So I started looking for money, and I said, listen, I'm trying to take a group of gang members to New York City, and I was wondering if anybody here would help me. Could we get some sponsors from the business community or whatever? And they said, what? I would keep that a secret. People are going to think you're crazy. And I said, but I think it'll change their behavior. It got to be April. I had not one penny. I'd been meeting with them every month, promising, yes, we're going. And I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'd worked with some consultants from New York, Benna Kalick and Marianne Leibowitz. Marianne Leibowitz happens to be the mother of Jon Stewart, who is on Comedy Central. And so they knew I was trying to do, and they knew I was trying to get these gang members to New York. And suddenly I started getting checks from all over the United States. So by the time we were supposed to go in June, we had enough money to take all those gang members. What about the National Honor Society? She never rewards them for anything. So I got enough money to take the National Honor Society with us too. On the way back, one of the members of the National Honor Society said, I'm so glad we did this together because I have never been friends with those gangsters, but I found out that they're no different from me. It's just that they just have a different lifestyle because of the way they've been treated. And they said, well, we're going to treat them better from now on. People respond to human kindness, and there's just not very much kindness shown. The first thing I knew I had to do was get teachers who believed in them, because these teachers just did believe they wanted to learn, that they could learn. Harriet Peet said there are two types of teachers of whom we have reason to be proud. She said there are those who teach us facts, who lay a firm foundation, and on that foundation raise the tower of knowledge foursquare and firmly built. But, she says, there is another teacher to whom we owe more still, and those are teachers with a view of life, who open our eyes to new ways of doing things and help us to see life in a different way. And I quoted it to the faculty. Oh, they laughed, they made fun of me, and they said, you think you're going to have that here at Furr High School? And I said, I know we could do it. If we believe, I know we can make it happen. And they said, that will never happen at Furr High School. And so that's when I got rid of them. And then I remembered something that Langston Hughes said, hold fast to dreams, for when dreams die, life is like a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. And all over this campus, there were broken-winged birds that were just flitting around, not being able to fly. So when I started hiring these new teachers, I first had to find out if they could repair broken wings. And last year, our graduation rate was high. Our completion rate was 96%, and about 98% of the kids were already accepted into college. And I think before you can be a really top-notch administrator or teacher, you have to first be a really decent human being. And there is no violence on this campus now. This is my 51st year in education. And if I could say what I think is the most important part of being a teacher or an administrator, it's having a caring heart. You've got to cause those dreams to come true. And that's what I've tried to do. And it sounds so syrupy that I even hate to say it, but that's what's helped the people here at this school.